Good morning, dear students, and welcome to today's session. Today, in this session, we are going to continue with our discussion of the short story Salvatore by William Somerset Maugham. And in the last class, we had discussed till that particular part where Salvatore, being invalid to serve in the navy, he returned home. And when he returned home, he saw that his father, mother, and two brothers were standing on the jetty waiting for his arrival. But his eyes could not find the girl whom he loved most dearly and whom he expected to be eagerly waiting for him. Now, since he could not find his beloved waiting for him at the jetty, he grew impatient. He was anxious, and therefore he went to meet her at her house in the evening. And when he met her in the evening, he found out that she would not marry him because of his illness, because he was suffering from rheumatism, and a girl could not afford to marry a man who may not be able to support her for the rest of her life. So when Salvatore came to know about this, he was dejected, he felt broken-hearted, and on reaching home, he wept on his mother's bosom, just like a child. He was, in fact, terribly unhappy, but still, he did not blame the girl. And he remained unhappy for the rest of the few days of his life. Then, few months later, when he had settled down to the common round of life, working in his father's vineyard and fishing, his mother told him that there was a young woman in the village who was willing to marry him. So, few months later, his mother offered him a proposal to marry a young woman living in the village. And this young woman's name was Jacinta. The moment Salvatore came to know about Jacinta, he expressed his dislike, his disapproval, through the line, "She is as ugly as the devil." So Salvatore did not have any liking for this young woman in the village because she was not very pleasant in appearance. She was not that attractive in her appearance. She was a very ugly looking woman, and Salvatore's disapproval becomes quite evident through the line that she is as ugly as the devil. Moreover, she was older than compared to Salvatore. She was 24 or 25 years old, and she had been engaged to a man who, while doing his military services, had been killed in Africa. So, these are the reasons for which Salvatore did not want to marry that girl. But at the same time, there were some advantages of getting married with Jacinta. She had a little money of her own, and if Salvatore married her, she could buy him a boat of his own, and they could take a vineyard that by happy chance happened at that moment to be without a tenant. His mother also informed Salvatore that Asenta had seen him at the festa. Here, festa means a religious festival in the local village. So, Asenta had seen Salvatore at the festa and she had fallen in love with him. Salvatore, though he did not directly refuse to get married with Asenta, he assured his mother that he would think about it. And then on the following Sunday, he dressed himself in his stiff black clothes and he went up to the high mass at the parish church and placed himself so that he could have a good look at the young woman. So when he saw the woman, observed the woman from closely, he then finally gave his decision that he was willing to marry Asenta. So he told his mother that he was willing to get married with Asenta. And they were married. They settled down in a tiny whitewashed house in the middle of a handsome vineyard. Salvatore now was a great big husky fellow, a robust fellow, tall and broad, but still he bore that ingenuous smile. He bore that innocent and unsuspecting smile, and he still had those trusting, kindly eyes that he had as a boy. He had the most beautiful manners. And Asenta, who was a grim-visaged female, grim-visaged means her face reflected feelings of sadness or worry. And she had decided features on her face. She looked older than her years. So though she was not that good looking, though she had a grim-visaged face, though she had decided features on her face, she appeared to be older than her years. But what is more important is that she was a woman with a good heart. And she, being a woman with a good heart, she proved herself to be a devoted wife. She loved Salvatore truly, and she could not bear the girl who had thrown him over. And she could not bear the girl who broke her husband's heart, and thus she had nothing but only harsh words for her. Asenta always used to speak harsh words about that girl who had broken the heart of her husband. And then after getting married with Asenta, Salvatore started leading a marital life. And this life of Salvatore was not at all easy. It was a very hard enough life for Salvatore. All through the fishing season on the evenings, he would set out on his boat with one of his brothers for the fishing ground. And then he spent the night catching the profitable cuttlefish. Then there was the long row back again in order to sell the fish he had caught in the night, for it must go in the early boat to Naples. Now when he was not out in the sea fishing at other times, he used to indulge himself in his work in the vineyard from dawn till the heat drove him to rest, and then again when it was a trifle cooler till dusk. Even at the times when his rheumatism caused him pain that tortured his limbs, he would only utter pleasant words for everyone. He never spoke any harsh word for anyone. So we find that Salvatore's life was not at all an easy life. Now, Salvatore also proved to be a caring father. He had two boys, and he used to bring them down to the beach to give them a bath. Salvatore had enormous hands, but when he bathed his children and dipped them in water, he did it so tenderly as if they were flowers. Looking at his child's smallness, he would laugh like an angel, and his eyes would appear as candid as the child's. Now, in the concluding part of the story, or in the concluding paragraph of the story, the author once again intervenes in the first person and tells the readers that he wanted to see if he could hold their attention for a few pages while he drew the portrait of an ordinary fisherman, Salvatore, who possessed nothing in the world except goodness. The author says, I started by saying that I wondered if I could do it. And now I must tell you what it is that I have tried to do. So he discloses to the readers that what he had tried to do in this story. So if you see the opening line of the story, I wonder if I can do it. Okay. The author was wondering, doubtful whether he would succeed in doing what he aimed at or not. And now he says that he tells the readers that what exactly he was trying to do. He wanted to see whether he could hold the attention of the readers for a few pages while he drew the portrait of a simple fisherman who possessed nothing in the world except a quality which is the rarest, the most precious, and the loveliest that anyone can have. Heaven only knows why he should so strangely and unexpectedly have possessed it. Heaven means only God knows that why Salvatore so strangely and unexpectedly have possessed that quality. All that the author knows, that Salvatore possessed that quality, and this quality of Salvatore shone in him with a radiance, and he tells that the quality which he is speaking is innate goodness. Salvatore possessed that innate goodness. So therefore, we find that this particular story, Salvatore, is a descriptive biography of an Italian fisherman named Salvatore. In fact, Salvatore is a popular Italian name which means savior. Literally, savior is someone who is kind, generous, and filled with inherent goodness. The protagonist of this story, Salvatore, is a humble fisherman. He had all the qualities in him to be called Salvatore. That means he had that innate goodness, he had kindness, he had generosity in him. And the author presents to the readers the life story of Salvatore. We are given a glimpse of his childhood. He is acting as a nursemaid to his two younger brothers. his passion for the girl he loved, his military services, where he suffered from rheumatism and felt homesick, and he returned home, he being dejected in love because of his illness, his marriage to another girl named as Asanta, his hard work as a fisherman, and his childlike moments with his children. The author has very skillfully highlighted the characteristic trait of Salvatore's innate goodness. Despite being heartbroken, Salvatore never blamed the girl who left him. He never uttered harsh words for her or for anyone else in his life. He was gentle and sweet to his wife Asanta and behaved childlike with his children. Mom thus seems to admire the good, kind, and gentle protagonist, and his naming of the story after him is the evidence of this sincere admiration of the author for Salvatore. So I hope the story is clear. I'll be uploading 2 more videos which will be helpful for you to understand the story properly. Thank you and stay blessed.